Entitled mom at the park tried to make me stop filming my own child's birthday. The last thing I expected at my son's 5th birthday party was a screaming stranger trying to snatch my phone out of my hand. But here we are. I, 32M, got into it with an entitled mom at the public park because she demanded I stop filming my own child on his birthday. It was absurd, dramatic, and it still doesn't feel real even though it happened yesterday. My wife and I decided to host a small birthday party for our son Dylan at our local park. We invited a handful of family and close friends, and set up a picnic area with balloons, a table for cake and snacks, and some decorations. The park has a playground nearby, which was great because the kids could run around and play. It was a sunny weekend afternoon, and the park was fairly busy but not crowded. We had no issues sharing the space with others. It's a big park. Everything was going great. The kids were laughing and chasing bubbles, the adults were chatting, and I was filming bits and pieces of the day on my phone to capture these memories. I'm not a professional videographer or anything, just a dad with a smartphone, recording his kid blowing out candles and whacking a piñata. Standard proud dad behavior, right? Enter entitled mom EM. I first noticed her hovering near the playground, giving me dirty looks. She was there with her own little girl, maybe 4 years old, and a toddler in a stroller. I didn't think much of it at first public park, other families around, no big deal. But every time I panned my phone across the playground to follow my son, I'd catch this woman glaring at me like I was doing something wrong. Eventually, EM marched over to our picnic table area. At that moment, the kids were gathered around watching my son open presents, and I was kneeling in the grass a few feet away filming his reactions. I hear a sharp, "Excuse me," from behind. I turn around and see EM, arms crossed and face like thunder. "Are you recording the children?" she snaps, accusatory. I replied, "I'm recording my son at his birthday party." Indeed, at that moment, my camera was on my son who was tearing open a gift, surrounded by our friends' kids. Her child wasn't even in our group. Her daughter was over by the swings, nowhere near the picnic. EM huffed. "I don't consent to you filming my child." I was taken aback. I said, "I'm not specifically filming your child, just capturing my son's party. We're in a public park." She cut me off. "Your camera keeps panning over the playground. My daughter is playing there. You probably have her in your video. That is not okay. You need to stop filming right now." Her tone was aggressive and loud, as if I'd been caught doing something heinous. The cheerful birthday atmosphere froze. All the adults in our group were now staring at this confrontation. My son, thankfully, was too engrossed in his new toy truck to notice yet. I tried to stay polite. "Ma'am, I'm only interested in filming my own kid and our family. It's possible your daughter was in the background while I was filming the playground, but I'm not focusing on her. And again, this is a public space." I figured that would be enough, and she'd back off, but oh no, EM was just getting started. "Delete the footage if my daughter is on it. You do not have my permission to film." She practically barked at me. Now I know the laws, at least here. In a public place, you're allowed to film, and you don't need permission to capture people in the background. And I certainly wasn't doing anything creepy, just a dad recording a family event. I calmly responded, "I'm not going to delete my son's birthday videos. I have no ill intent, and I didn't specifically record your child. I'll do my best to keep other kids out of the shots, but I'm not deleting what I've already got." That did not go over well. EM's voice went up another octave. "How dare you? My children's privacy is important. You can't film kids without permission. It's disgusting." At this point, my friend Jake, who's a bit of a hothead, chimed in, "Lady, he's filming his own kid. Nobody's interested in yours." EM whipped her head towards him. "Stay out of this. This is between me and the cameraman here." "Cameraman? Really?" My wife stepped up next to me and tried to diffuse the situation with a calmer tone. "I understand you're concerned, but I promise we're only filming our family. We'll do our best to keep other kids out of the videos." A reasonable person might have accepted that and moved on, not EM. "Best to keep other kids out? You shouldn't be filming at all. You can't guarantee my daughter isn't in those videos. Other perverts could see them." "Yes," she said, "perverts." She was basically implying that by filming my own kid at a park, I was somehow endangering her child. I was flabbergasted. "Ma'am, it's just home videos of a birthday." I tried, but she kept ranting about predators on the internet, and how dare we film where other children are present. Mind you, I had no intention of posting anything publicly beyond maybe a private family group. This lady was acting like I was live streaming her kid's face to some dark website. Our friends and family were watching, incredulous. One of our friends, who has kids at the party too, even said, "My kids are in the video and I have zero problem with it. You're overreacting." But EM was beyond reason. She was practically yelling now, drawing attention from other park-goers too. "It is illegal to film someone without consent," she insisted, which, for the record, is not true in this context. I replied as evenly as I could. "No, it isn't illegal. We're in a public park. Look, if you're so worried, I'll try not to get your kid on camera. But I'm not deleting anything. She yelled back, "You'll aim it away all right, because you'll put it down now." And with that, she lunged forward and tried to grab my phone out of my hand. Luckily, I have a wrist strap on it, and I yanked my hand back so she missed. My wife stepped between EM and me, raising her voice, "Do not touch us or our property." I've rarely heard my wife so commanding. EM actually stepped back for half a second, but then EM pointed at my wife and screamed, "Don't you film my child either. You people are disgusting, shoving cameras in kids' faces." Irony. The only one shoving herself in anyone's face was her. Important to note, her kid was still over by the swings, well out of our camera's view, and completely oblivious. The only child near us was her toddler in the stroller, who had started crying because his mother was screaming. Things were truly off the rails now. The birthday kids were noticing the commotion. My son looked over, confused and a bit frightened, and softly said, "Daddy?" I quickly handed my phone to my wife and walked toward my son, telling him everything was okay. I was furious at EM, but my priority was calming the kids at that moment. EM wasn't done. She continued ranting to the group at large. "People like him are why I never bring my kids out anymore. You can't be too safe. He could be some creep." That's when I lost my patience. I turned back to her and said firmly, "Enough. This is my son's birthday. Please leave us alone. You're causing a scene." She stepped closer again, her face contorted with rage. "I have every right to be here. This is a public park, and I'm not going to let some stranger film my kids." "You stop filming or I will make you stop." One of my friends, who had been recording some of this insanity on her phone, for our own evidence, spoke up loudly, "We're recording you now, to have proof of how you're harassing us." Sure enough, a couple of cameras were pointed at EM now. We wanted to be sure we documented her behavior in case the cops needed to see it. Well, EM completely lost it at that. The irony of her screaming about not wanting to be filmed while now being filmed for her bad behavior was apparently lost on her. "Stop filming me! I didn't consent to that!" she screamed. She then charged at my friend, let's call her Anna, who was holding her phone up. EM swiped at Anna's phone and actually shoved her in the process. Anna stumbled back, catching herself, but her phone went flying and landed in the grass. That was the final straw. Several of us shouted variations of, "Hey, you can't do that!" and "Back off!" I immediately yelled, "That's it, we're calling the police." I pulled out my phone, which I'd handed to my wife, who gave it back knowing what I was about to do, and dialed 911. EM's eyes widened, but she was still so enraged she shouted, "Go ahead, call them! I'll tell them how you were filming my child without permission." She was literally hopping mad, face red, breathing heavy. I walked a few steps away from her, to be safe, as I spoke to the dispatcher. I gave a quick rundown. "We have a woman at Park Name harassing us and getting physical. She just shoved someone. She's screaming and won't leave our child's birthday party." The dispatcher assured me officers were on the way. EM must have realized, in some corner of her brain, that cops were actually being called. She started pacing in a circle, muttering loudly about how, "I'm protecting my child," and "They're the ones recording me now." A couple of other park-goers, not with us, had come over, telling her to calm down. She yelled at them, too, of course. "Mind your own business. This pervert was filming my kid." One bystander said, "Lady, I saw the whole thing. He was just filming the party." She called him an idiot and something else I won't repeat here. Maybe 5 minutes later, though it felt longer, a police car rolled up onto the park service path. EM practically sprinted toward the officers, waving her arms. I quickly followed, along with Anna, who retrieved her phone, and my friend Jake. The officer, a middle-aged guy, got out and started asking what's going on. But EM launched into a tirade first. "Officer, thank God, this man is filming children. I told him to stop and he won't. He has video of my daughter without my permission." She was pointing at me and practically talking over the cop. I jumped in, voice shaking with adrenaline. "Sir, that's not what's happening. I was filming my son's birthday." She came over and started yelling. She tried to grab my phone and actually shoved my friend here. I gestured to Anna. Anna held up her phone, saying, "I have part of it on video." The officer looked a bit overwhelmed by EM's volume. He told all of us to calm down and separated us to get both sides. Another officer, a female cop, arrived moments later, and they spoke to us separately. I gave a full account. That I was filming my kid. EM went off about not filming her kid, how she escalated and got physical. I also mentioned I had called 911 because she shoved my friend. I emphasized that several witnesses, my friends, and even some strangers, saw what happened. EM, on her part, was still going on about how I was illegally filming minors and how she was just a concerned mother. I could hear bits of her conversation with the female officer, and it was just a rehash of her accusing me of being a potential creep. She conveniently left out how she tried to snatch my phone and shoved someone. Luckily, a few bystanders and my friends backed me up when giving statements to the cops. One stranger had seen EM try to grab my phone. Another saw her push Anna. My friends all corroborated that I was just filming my son and that EM initiated everything. It became clear to the officers pretty quickly who the aggressor was. The male officer, talking to me and some witnesses, even subtly shook his head like he couldn't believe her behavior. After getting the full story and reviewing some video clips Anna and another friend captured, the officers walked back to EM, who was now with her stroller, glaring daggers at us. I couldn't hear every word, but I caught the male cop firmly telling EM that we had every right to film in a public park and that she had no right to assault or harass us. EM started arguing with him. "So you expect me to let some stranger record my kids?" And the female officer interjected, basically warning EM that if she doesn't calm down, she'll be removed from the park. In the end, the police asked us if we wanted to press charges for the physical altercation. Anna had a small bruise and was a bit shaken, but she ultimately decided not to press charges. She just wanted EM to get a stern warning and leave us alone. The officers did warn EM that her behavior could have warranted an assault charge, and that she was this close to getting arrested. That finally shut EM up. I think the reality sank in at that point. EM was escorted away from our area by the female cop, who told her to take a walk and cool off. EM left the park entirely a few minutes later with her kids, probably too embarrassed or angry to stay. As she slunk off, she gave me one last death glare and practically hissed, "This isn't over." "Whatever, lady." The police left after assuring us we'd be okay and advising EM to steer clear of us. We tried to resume the party, but honestly, the mood was pretty much ruined. My son was upset because a mean lady yelled at his party, and it took some comforting and cake bribery to cheer him up. The rest of the afternoon was quieter. We managed to salvage some fun. Kids are resilient, but all the adults were still kind of in shock. That night, after putting my son to bed, I was still fuming. The audacity of that woman. I ended up sharing the story and a short video clip of her meltdown that Anna caught on Reddit to vent. Hi. It blew up more than I expected, and a lot of people commented that they were glad she got held accountable by the cops. I'm still angry, but I feel vindicated that everyone, friends, strangers, and the police, saw that I did nothing wrong. I do feel a bit bad for her kids, having to witness their mom go ballistic. I hope, for their sake, she learns to control herself. So yeah, that was the crazy birthday party saga. My son, thankfully, still had a decent time. He's mostly excited about his presents and cake, and at 5, probably won't dwell on the drama. As for me, I'm going to be very wary of random park moms from now on. Who knew that filming your own child's birthday could lead to police at the party? Only on Planet entitled Update 1. Well, remember how EM hissed, "This isn't over," as she left? She meant it. Buckle up, because things somehow got even more absurd. First off, I posted a short video clip of EM's freakout, the part where she was screaming about not consenting to being filmed, on r/public freakout. I mostly did it to share the craziness, but it kinda blew up. Within a day, the video went viral in our area. People dubbed her Swing Set Karen. There were thousands of views and tons of comments, most expressing outrage or ridicule at her behavior. It wasn't long before someone locally recognized EM. Through the community grapevine and a local Facebook group where the video was also shared, EM herself found out she had become semi-internet famous, and she was not happy. How do I know? Because the very next day, she actually created a Facebook account, under a fake name but it was obviously her, to defend herself in the comments of the video post. Her rant was predictable. She claimed none of us understood how it feels to have a stranger filming your children, and that she was just being a protective mother. She said I had refused to listen when she politely asked, and that the video only showed her reaction, not my supposed provocations. She wrote, "Any good parent would have done what I did. I was protecting my kid," and even accused us, the birthday party folks, of bullying her. Well, if she was hoping for sympathy, she didn't get it. People in the group, including witnesses to the incident, clapped back hard. They pointed out that she was lying about politely asking, since she came at us aggressively from the start, and noted that the video very clearly showed her screaming like a banshee, not me doing anything creepy. The comment section lit up with people calling her out. Eventually, a moderator had to shut down commenting because it was getting intense. Some folks took it too far, digging up what they thought was her identity and so on. I stayed out of the comment war, figuring I'd let the video speak for itself. But apparently, EM was furious about how she was portrayed. She sent a message to my personal Facebook account. Not sure how she found me. Perhaps through mutual acquaintances or the neighborhood group. It was, wow. She basically blamed me for ruining her life and accused me of cyberbullying her. She demanded that I take down my posts and the video. The message was a bizarre mix of self-pity and threats. She wrote, "My children are terrified to go to the park now because of the way you embarrassed their mother, and I've consulted an attorney, and what you have done is defamation of character." She said if I didn't remove everything and issue a public apology, she'd be pursuing legal action. I showed the message to a lawyer friend, and honestly, common sense also told me this. She has no case. The video simply shows her behavior in a public place, which is not defamation. And as far as I know, truth is an absolute defense anyway. She really did do those things. Also, I didn't even spread it that widely. The internet did its thing. So I ignored her message, except to screenshot it. Over the next day, word got around our community about the whole situation. I heard from a neighbor that EM was facing serious social backlash. Other parents were distancing themselves, and apparently she got a talking to from the local PTA, she's involved at her kid's preschool, about how her behavior reflected on the school. Consequences. Meet actions. Then, surprisingly, I got another message from EM about 24 hours after the first. This one was polite. She basically begged me to try to get the video taken down, saying her family was suffering and that her kids were being teased because of it. "Surely you've made your point," she wrote. Still, notably, not really an apology for what she did, just regret for the backlash. I haven't responded to that message either. For one, I really have no control over the video now. It's been reposted on multiple platforms by random people. And two, I'm not sure she deserves any help from me on this, given she's only concerned about the consequences and still hasn't directly apologized for causing the scene in the first place. That said, I'm not a monster. I do feel a bit bad that her kids are feeling the fallout. They didn't ask for any of this. I haven't decided yet how to proceed. I did remove the clip from my own Reddit post. It's still out there elsewhere, though. And I hear she's deleted that fake Facebook account after getting roasted. So that's where it stands. EM is in full damage control mode, alternating between threatening me and pleading with me. The situation has largely moved online and into gossip circles, and it's clearly made her life unpleasant this week. Honestly, I think the public shaming is the only reason she's reconsidering her behavior at all. If nothing had gone viral, I suspect she'd still be stewing about how she was right. Maybe this experience will teach her something. Who knows? I'll update again if anything significant happens. She mentioned legal action, but I highly doubt that will actually happen. Part of me hopes she just calms down and lets this blow over. I certainly didn't set out to ruin someone's life. I just wanted to film my kid's birthday in peace. But she brought this on herself. Update 2. I honestly did not expect this outcome. EM showed up at my doorstep to apologize. This evening, there was a knock at my door. To my shock, it was EM, looking extremely nervous and teary-eyed, with her husband standing behind her holding their toddler. My first thought was, oh great, what now? But then I noticed EM's demeanor. She wasn't angry or belligerent. If anything, she looked humbled. She immediately said, "I know I'm the last person you want to see. I came to say I'm sorry." I was stunned silent. She went on, voice shaking, "I'm so sorry for what I did at the park. And how I acted online after. There's no excuse." I was completely out of line. My wife had come to the door too, and the two of us just listened. EM actually started crying, right there on my porch. She said my daughter saw the video of me yelling. She asked me why I was so mean. I felt sick. I never wanted her to see me like that. Her husband put a hand on her shoulder. He looked pretty upset too, though more with the situation than at us. EM continued, "I panicked about the video and lashed out even more. But that just made everything worse. I know I've been receiving a lot of hate. I deserve it." She wiped her eyes. "I needed to come here and face you, to apologize to you, your wife, your little boy, everyone at the party." I was still in disbelief, but I found myself saying I appreciated the apology. My wife gently added that it was good of her to come. EM seemed bolstered by that. She asked if she could say sorry to my son directly. Now, my son is only 5 and had mostly forgotten about the incident, short attention span and all. But it so happened he came into the hallway while we were talking. I crouched down and softly explained that this lady wanted to tell him something. My son recognized her as the mean lady from the park and kind of hid behind my leg. But EM knelt down a few feet away, kept her distance, and said, "Hi, sweetie. I'm the lady who was very loud at your birthday. I was upset over something silly, and I yelled when I shouldn't have. I'm really sorry I messed up your party." My son didn't say much. He just nodded and said, "Okay," very softly. Then he asked if the woman's little girl wanted a lollipop. We had some candy from goodie bags. It was such a pure 5-year-old thing to offer. EM let out a surprised laugh between her tears and looked to me like she wanted to make sure it was okay. I nodded, and she quietly said thank you, and that her daughter would love one. My son ran to get a lollipop from the jar we keep, and handed it to EM's husband to give to their little girl later. It was a sweet, sincere moment. Honestly, I had a lump in my throat seeing my son's simple kindness. After that, EM apologized again directly to me and my wife. She said she had already contacted the admin of the Facebook group to ask them to remove the video post, and that she was logging off social media for a while to let things die down. She also said she's looking into some kind of parenting or anger management classes, so my kids never have to see me like that again. I could see the shame and remorse on her face. Her husband then spoke up and said, "Thank you for hearing her out, and I'm sorry too. I was there that day at the park, but I was on the other side with our toddler. I only caught the tail end. I wish I had been there to calm her down." This whole thing really opened our eyes. He looked genuinely regretful. In the end, we actually exchanged a somewhat awkward hug with EM. It felt like the right thing in the moment, and my wife and I told her we hoped things would get better for her. She thanked us for forgiving her and promised quietly, "You'll never have an issue with me again, I'm so sorry." After they left, I closed the door and just exhaled a long breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. I never expected a real apology, much less them showing up in person with such humility. It doesn't excuse how she acted initially, but it does take a lot to admit you were wrong in front of people you wronged.